Honestly Speaking. I am your host, Honestly Trina. Today, we have an amazing guest who has single-handedly devoted his career to helping others navigate the complex world of mental health. Kevin Bennett is an emotional and mental health strategist. He is also the author of this powerful book, Who Helps the Helpline when the Helpline Needs Help. Today, we'll be delving into his personal journey, understanding why he wrote the book, and finding out what strategies we can also use in our personal struggles with mental health. Thank you for joining us, Kevin.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
To the show.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm good. I feel really good. Been doing a lot of work, both internationally and nationwide as well. So things are going really good. Thank you.
Good.
How about yourself? How are you?
Do you know what? I'm happy. I'm on my new set.
I love it. It's really nice. Yeah. You got a good team as well.
Yes. Shout out to Myriad Studios, Elmo and Jay, who's put up with me. Yeah. Because it's taken time to get to this set. But yeah, I'm doing pretty well. Much better to have you on set. It's been a long time.
Yes. We've known each other for a number of years.
Yes, it has.
That's good.
So for the benefit of the audience, could you let us know a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So, as you said, my name's Kevin Bennett. I originally come from South London, Brixton. And, you know, Brixton, when you look at Brixton in the 90s, 80s, but obviously 90s, early 2000s was my time, my era. There was a lot going on around that time. You know, a lot of people died. A lot of people went through massive trauma. But one of the main things that I think was a pivotal point in my life was sometimes you see people going through things and you don't quite understand it. And then there's a moment where you say, what is that? And what I mean by that is they may be going through, it looks like they've got anger issues, but it's not anger issues. They're hurting on the inside.
Grief.
Yeah. It could be grieving. It could be loss. It could be pain. It could be all different types of
depression.
Right. But there's a trigger point. And when I started to notice that most of my friends who I thought were angry, they were more hurting than angry. But anger was the behavior, but there was a deeper pain behind that. And I guess that led me down the path of understanding human emotions.
Right.
And it led me to travel to 25 countries, studying human behavior, studying all different types of people, cultures, nationalities, religions, just so I could understand my people. And it led to me working with 1.2 to 3 million people globally since 2010 to this current date.
2010?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes, it's been a number of years.
1.2 million.
Yeah.
So growing up in Brixton, Stockwell Park Estate?
Yeah.
So now being a global emotion and mental strategist.
Yes.
What is that for people? What is a mental and emotional strategist?
So mental and emotional strategist, my area is to look at the brain, how the brain works, and also look at what's connected to the brain from when it comes to the emotional side. So you've got feelings and you've got emotions, right? Emotions is more sensory. It's what you feel. Feelings normally come from your thoughts.
Right.
And I wanted to understand, for example, why is it that sometimes people are emotionally, their body is emotionally going through pain. So trauma stores in the body, right? When you talk about trauma's a bodily thing. The body stores the trauma, not the mind.
Right.
Right? So I wanted to understand, why is it that person's getting sick? Why are they sick? And the sickness sometimes come from the trauma. If you don't know how to filter out trauma, if you don't know how to deal with your traumas, right, it stores in the body, and then that's when the body starts to go into a disease of all different types. And I wanted to help a lot of my friends who ended up on drugs, ended up on certain things. I wanted to help them deal with that. But in order to help someone to deal with what we see as external problems, you have to understand what's going on internally. So I had to study, I had to research, I had to learn, I had to interview different people who were in a place of happiness
Yeah.
and other people that were in a place of depression, right? And what I discovered within that is that there was about 26 to 32 scales of emotions.
Right.
Yeah. And I used to believe that the lowest scale of emotion was depression. Yeah.
Yes,
Uh,
but in your book, it actually says that it's helplessness, isn't it?
Helplessness is the lowest vibrational
Yeah.
frequency.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why, see, here's the thing. Depression, you've got like 8 different types of depression,
Yeah.
right? So you got like postpartum as depression, you got atypical as depression, you got minor depression, you got seasonal depression. You know, you've got the one of the polars that are the depression. So you got the mania, and then you got the depression. So one's a high, one's a low, bipolar. So you got different types of depression.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was studying and researching people, the people that committed themselves to that to another life, right? That they unalived themselves, for example.
Yeah.
They all had one thing in common, that was a lower vibrational frequency than depression.
Right.
And what they had, and for a number of years I just didn't see it. I couldn't quite connect. Okay, why is it that some people were depressed and
Still living, wanting to survive.
and others
Opted
unalived
out.
themselves,
Yeah.
right? Opted out,
Yeah.
right? And when I started to research, I had to really zone into it. It took me into about year 6 before I started to see it. That they all had one thing in common, the people that unalived themselves, who opted out. We say opted out,
Yeah.
right? For the sake of this conversation. The people who opted out, they all had one thing in common, and that was hopelessness. They just didn't see themselves in the future. They didn't feel like they could
way
contribute
out.
anymore
Yeah.
to this world. They didn't feel like this world wanted them anymore in many
Right.
cases, or they wanted to be a part of this world.
Right.
And that's when my exploration really started to go even deeper. In that sense, it was really painful, but it was an eye opener as well.
Right. You said that you witnessed some of your friends that were going through different things. Were you able to change any of their outcomes or change their paths?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What sort of things did you do to support them to navigate out of that low frequency?
Brilliant. Brilliant question. So there's 5 stages of success,
Right.
right? There's also 5 stages of failure. They're the both same 5 stages.
Okay.
So stage 1 is your belief system, right? What do you believe? What do you believe that you're short or tall? What do you believe that you're fat or thin? What do you believe that you're black or white? What's your belief system? Do you believe you're good enough? Do you believe you're worthy? Do you believe you should be loved?
Yeah.
Do you believe you should be on this planet? What's your belief system,
Yeah.
right? So stage 1 is your belief system. Stage 2 is your self-talk. So everyone's self-talk is connected to their belief system, and everyone's belief system is connected to their self-talk.
And that self-talk is the loudest voice that you ever hear.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right. And so if you don't believe you're good enough, the self-talk is raging in your mind. You're not good enough, you're not worthy, and all the rest of it. Everyone's self-talk is connected to their actions, which is
Right.
stage 3. Stage 4 is results. Every action will lead to a result.
Yeah.
And then the final stage is knowing, experience. So when you say someone's got an experience, right, they've gone through those 4 stages.
Right.
So how did I help my friends at first? Is I went for their belief system.
Right.
You know, what do you believe that you live in Brixton? What do you believe that you live in Dalston? What do you believe that you live in Hackney? What do you believe that you live in Tottenham? Like, what's your belief system? You know, do you believe that you should be there? Do you believe that you can be loved? Do you believe that your parents loved you? You know, what is your belief? And so when you change that story, you change that narrative in their mind, then it starts to change the effects of the chain effect, the self-conversation, the actions they take. And so that was one side of it. The other side of it is about environments.
Right.
You have to remove people from a certain environment, right? So I look at things from a frequency perspective,
Right.
yeah? And frequency vibrates within us, and frequency vibrates around us,
Yes.
yeah? So you have we're all made out of atoms.
Yes.
Right? And inside of that atom, you have different constituents.
Right.
So the different constituents are like protons, electrons, neutrons, quarks,
yeah.
photons, and so on and so forth. But if we're talking about three different constituents, protons, electrons, neutrons,
Yeah.
right? When you're in a proton state, you're vibrating in what they call the consciousness of love.
Right.
Yeah. And so that means you connect with people who are happier, people who are loving, people that are about joy and happiness. Your environment adjusts that way as well. And you think in that way, you behave in that way, you radiate that.
Yes.
Yeah. So when you talk about a beautiful person, they're vibrating in the frequency
Yes.
of love. Now, most people think that the opposite of love is hate. And it's not hate. The opposite of love is fear. Right? So love is an open consciousness. Fears are entities. And these entities come into your life by, it could be your parents, it could be your guardians, it could be your teachers, it could be your next door neighbors, but they are the ones that enter these entities into your life of fear. Now, there's 8 fears that control you, right? If you're vibrating a negative frequency.
Okay.
So you have, for example, you will have the fear of death.
Yeah.
You have the fear of ill health.
Yeah.
You have the fear of failure. You have the fear of loss of a loved one. You have the fear of poverty. You have a number of different fears, right? And those fears then control your behaviors, who you think you are. So, for example, fear of criticism. Yeah. So that fear of criticism may come from being criticized as a child.
Yeah.
You know, you're not good enough. You're not pretty enough. Look at you. You know, you'll never be anything. You'll never be successful. You look like your father. You know, you remind me of your mother. You're a horrible person.
Limited conversations.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so they start to create a narrative into that person's mind. It creates a narrative into that person's way of looking at themselves, which then starts to metastasize throughout their being, throughout their body, throughout their thinking, throughout their behavior, throughout their community.
Yeah.
And they start to manifest it because what you think you become.
Yeah.
Right? And then all of a sudden, because you're vibrating in an electron frequency, right, and within that electron frequency, there's doubt, worry, pessimism, jealousy, anger, rage, depression, frustration, all these different negative vibrational frequency and feelings starts to vibrate. And then all of a sudden, you have to, by default, vibrate around those people. So where they say, for example, misery loves company. The correct term is frequency loves frequency.
Right.
And so that's why I go back to when I say you have to remove the person from the environment alongside attacking their previous belief system.
So that's kind of nature and nurture.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Massively.
So, through your work, you've worked with many companies, haven't you?
Yes. Yeah. It's been, man, when I say to you, it's been surreal because, as I said, like, my world and my life definitely wasn't a life of Riley. You know, growing up in Brixton, I've been stabbed 4 different times, died on operating table. I've died twice on the operating table.
Wow.
I've had a son that's died. I've had 3 siblings now that's dead. I've had a brother that was shot and killed.
Yeah.
You know, you name it, I've gone through it. So I truly do understand what it's like to go through trials, tribulations, and definitely trauma.
Well, Kevin, you were always a bit different, weren't you?
Well, you please explain what different
You were
means.
a bit different,
What does
like,
different mean?
for the benefit of people, like, you were never kind of caught up. Like, you carried yourself in a different manner.
Yeah.
I always remember that about you. I remember, you know, when people were wearing certain trainers, you were wearing shoes. You dabbled in a bit of music at a point.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you always carried yourself in a way that wasn't
Of the norm.
in the area that we grew up in. What do you think made you kind of like navigate slightly different?
My brother. One of my brothers, he was definitely an outlier. Yeah, he used to think different. So, for example, from the age of 6, 7, I learned how to play chess very, very well, right? And I was taught how to think out of the box by playing chess. I was also taught from same age about the G7 and G8. Yeah, the
Right.
7, 8 most powerful countries. And I was taught, okay, what makes one country need another, regardless of if they have conflicts? What makes Russia do business with America? What makes Germany do business with France? What makes England do business? So when you start to learn things from a different perspective, you start to see the world in a different way. And then, parallel to that, my parents are from Jamaica. So I was taught about Nanya the Maroons and Sam Sharp and Paul Bogle and the Jamaican national heroes, right? And I was taught also that I derive from kings. So behave like a king, present yourself like a king, your stance, your posture, deal with it like a king. Parallel to that, when I had to study world leaders when I was like 9 years old. I mean, in finite detail, right? Gorbachev and Reagan and all those leaders, and leaders going right back to the pharaohs as well. And you start to learn when you're studying people with the intent to take from them is that you present yourself like a leader. Your stance should be like a leader. If you're going to lead people, then be of a leader as well. So I had to change the way that I would put on a tracksuit every now and then, but you know, dress the way that you should lead.
Yes.
Conduct yourself the way that you should lead. Do not be an elephant and concern yourself with ant business. So if someone's trying to present themselves or try to argue with you, do you argue with them like a pleb, or do you present yourself accordingly? And so all of that, it pushes you and it tests you. But that was my stance up until this current day. And because of that, now I do advise some leaders globally. Thank God now I'm doing a talk at the US Embassy. I've been doing talks to leaders in Abu Dhabi, in Iraq, different parts of the world as well. And that stemmed from my belief system more than anything else.
And you're also doing talks in universities as well.
Yes, I've been lecturing at universities. I've been doing talks at universities. I've been talking quite a few times at UCL this year and different universities, which once again I feel blessed about because I've never gone to a university. so, so that's pretty good.
Did you ever envision your life taking this path?
I envisioned it. I didn't know if it was going to happen, but I envisioned it. I had to believe it. I had no choice. I had no choice. When 50 Cent, talks about get rich or, die trying kind of thing, it's a real thing. For me, it was this way or no way. I couldn't afford to have a plan B. I couldn't afford it. There was no entertainment for a plan B. I knew I had to be around a certain type of ilk, and I had to be of that ilk within myself overall. And it's been manifesting by the day, hence my book as well, looking into that.
Good. So I kind of want to bring us back on track because I diverted because I was just interested in your journey. But your work highlights emotional toll that high stress professionals suffer.
Sure.
And there's quite a comparison with like black males. They have like a heavy pressure on them, societal pressures. How would you advise, or what kind of coping mechanisms would you give black men that are feeling societal pressures, cultural pressures, especially with our culture being having such a stigma around mental health? What kind of strategies would you help them to use to overcome some of the mental health issues they suffer? And also, what kind of advice can you give for us as a community to kind of do away with the stigma around mental health?
That's a brilliant question.
A long one, sorry.
Let me reverse engineer that. I've spoken about this a number of different times. I'm really passionate about this, right? So when you look at Tyrese, okay, and Tyrese comes on the Breakfast Club, or he does a Instagram live or
story,
whatever,
yeah.
and he's crying, right? And he's tearful, and he becomes a meme. He becomes
Horrible.
He becomes a joke.
Yes.
Right. And then you've got other black men who are emotional on camera, and they become a meme and they become a joke.
Michael
right?
Jordan.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then there was one particular young man at the time. He's obviously a lot older now, and his name was Dominic.
Yes.
And
Christmas time,
right?
Yes.
Dominic. And he made a bad judgment and decision. You know, we're not going to go too deep into that, but because of that judgment of decision, he became an every year meme and an every year joke.
Yes.
Now, what does that statistic say? Every time, or most of the time, that black men express themselves emotionally or make bad decisions, they're penalized by the masses. So black men are learning very quickly
not to show emotion.
Exactly. Become insular,
Yes.
do not share certain things. And because we're now in a new day of social media as well, where women tend to expose their men if their men behind the scenes are making mistakes, if they're broke, if they're not doing well overall. And so black men are learning overall to shut down
and internalize,
which is causing mental health problems even more.
Yes.
Pressure burst pipes.
Yes.
Right? So reversing engineering, what you're saying is, first and foremost, our community needs to have more empathy, compassion, understanding from a community perspective. I think men needs to hold men to account,
Yes.
and women needs to hold women to account.
Yes.
Because when it's the other way around, both sides say the other side doesn't understand.
It becomes imbalanced.
Exactly.
Yes.
Right? So I think that a woman needs to say to another woman, this needs to stop. You need to stop with this. I'm dead serious. And men needs to be able to turn to another man and say, I'm going to say something to you right now, but do not use it against me, and just understand what I'm going through right now. Right? So from a community perspective, we need to hold each other to account when it comes to the way that we judge each other. Yeah? Right. Because it gets nicked in the bud there.
Straight away, yeah.
Straight away. The other way how to deal with your mental health, and, which is very important, is people do need therapy.
Yes.
Right. Even if the therapist is of their age, or of their color, or of their culture, or of their religion, they need to seek out therapy.
Yes.
Right. So you need a toolbox.
Yes.
I call it a toolbox. And when you go to purchase a car and you bring that car to a garage, you expect the mechanic to have appropriate tools to fix your car.
Yeah.
Right?
I expect him to do a diagnostic as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But we don't have, as people overall, don't have enough tools to work on ourselves. And from a diagnostic perspective, as you said, we don't diagnose or have a system around us to look into our coding systems of what's going on within us. So we need to have therapy, right? We need to do things that help our mental health. Our mental health should be exercised when we don't need to exercise it, meaning we shouldn't be just kind of going to
a therapist when we've crashed and burnt.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? We shouldn't be trying to out fires when the fires are on. We should be also having checks all the time that the fires are not started.
Yes. Be proactive and not reactive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Perfect. Right? So we need to do brisk walking. Brisk walking is so powerful.
What is that?
Brisk walking is 100 steps every 60 seconds, if you could measure it. So it's a certain speed of walking.
Right.
That is like a magical pill to help depression. Right. It helps the energy of the body. Right. We need to watch the right things on TV. We need to listen to correct music that's not connected to sexuality, music that's not connected to violence or all the rest of it. Because all of those things, even by a percentage, have an effect on you.
Yeah.
Yeah. We need to stay away from gossip and hearsay and mix up, because it affects our belief systems about what we think about ourselves and think about our worlds and think about our relationships overall.
And it messes around with our frequencies
It
as well,
messes with our
vibration.
vibrational frequency. It brings us into an electron zone.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is very important. Obviously, we need to eat the right foods. You know, right foods are very, very, very important as well. That brings us into a lower vibrational frequency. Yeah. So there's a number of different things collectively we can do to help our mental health. We need to travel and gather experiences, not just where we're used to, but different unique parts of the world. It allows us. So Dr. Pansap, who I talk about in my book, Dr. Pansap discovered that we have 7 systems within our brain, 7 different systems. One of them is called the seeking system.
Right.
The seeking system is connected to enthusiasm. So when we're enthusiastic, it makes us want to explore life more. It makes us want to go out into the world. It makes us want to connect with people. So we become more enthusiastic. So the seeking system. The second one is the anger and rage system.
Right.
The anger and rage system it goes back to hundreds or thousands of years ago, where we need to fight for our food, right? So it's still stored within us. It's still stored within us. Survival. So anger and rage allows us to be in survival mode, right? But excess of it, that's where mental health and stuff kicks in, and we become very angry people. The third one is the fear system. As I said to you before, every single negative emotion is connected to fear, right? The fear system. Once again, you can have good fear, you can have bad fear. You can have fear that allows you to identify that there is a problem within your vicinity.
Yeah.
You could be walking down the road and you have that gut feeling. There's a fear there, that there's a danger nearby. So it's a part of our mechanism to stay alive.
Yeah.
But too much of it causes hypervigilance.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden fear is everywhere, and then it starts to have an effect on our relationships and ourselves. So it's all within proportion. The next one is our lust system.
Right.
So our lust system is connected to obviously being attracted to someone being attracted to us. So we need that system in place, right? Too much of it could be porn and all the rest of it, is dangerous, right? So, and too much of it without discipline is dangerous. This is where you get people who make bad decisions and they end up in prison or other places, right? So too much of the lust system is very, very dangerous. The next one is the grief system. The grief system, once again, is connected to loss and pain and all the rest of it. So loss doesn't always mean death. It also means a breakup of a relationship.
Yes, severance.
So we go through that grieving system as well. And then you've got the care system. The care system is connected to connection, bonding. It's normally connected to as well when women tend to have their first child and they first start with fear. Can I look after this child? Can I maintain this child? This precious baby's in my hands. Can I do it? And then something happens where their care system kicks in, right? And so we get care systems as well, but that's when women really feel the care system, when there's some form of responsibility that's come from them in that sense. And then the final system is what they call the play system. The play system is like some of your best friends, some of your best memories come from the play system, you know. And what happens is when you have an imbalance, so for example, if you're going through depression, it will suppress the seeking system and it will suppress the play system and it will suppress the caring system, right? So we need to make sure that we are consciously using the play system. The play system just going out, you know, it could be playing football, it could be doing Ludo, it could be, but it needs to be a play system that's connected to physical touch, high-fiving, hugging people and all of that kind of thing. That needs to be at all times. The play system needs to be stimulated, right? And then you have the seeking system. Go out, go explore, go for walks in the forest, go window shopping, go look at nice luxury houses, go and do things that creates your seeking system that stimulates it. Then the care system is be conscious about caring for people until it becomes natural. And that will help your negative emotions, and that will help your depression and your mental health.
That's a lot. And that can be all found inside the book.
Yes, it's all in the book.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Mention in the book, what actually inspired you to write this book? And how long did it take you?
So the book is 10 years of research, but a
10
year and a half of writing.
Right.
What inspired me to write the book? The book first started with me learning and understanding, as I said, what was going on with the people around me, you know? And then it morphed into, when I started to travel from country to country, I was asking certain particular questions when I was interviewing people. Questions like, how do you feel? And when you ask someone how they feel, they normally give you a surface answer to start with.
Yeah, I'm fine.
I'm fine.
Great.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm okay. I'm good. And then if you ask it enough times, you'll start to get to the core of what they're feeling, right? And then I would ask a question is, what is their profession? What do you do? What's your career? And it will be what led to your career. And I started to see a pattern start to occur, start to present themselves. So for example, a doctor, I will say to that doctor, what led you to be a doctor?
Yeah.
And for a lot of them, away from it being cultural pressures or family pressures, it was the fact that they wanted to care for people. Then I would ask, why? Why did you want to care for people? And it would tend to come from like an early trauma. Same thing with social workers. Social workers are not social workers to be millionaires. Most social workers are social workers because there was an early trauma that they were trying to figure out, and they wanted to also protect people that were going through what they were going through. So I started to see that there was a format that was forming, that people that were vibrating in a frequency in their early lives were almost playing out that frequency within their professional careers. So for example, dentists, doctors, surgeons, anaesthetists have some of the highest opting out rate, unaliving rate,
Yeah.
right? And, high
They're high
depression
stress
rates.
rate. They're highly stressful jobs, aren't they?
Highly stressful. But for a lot of them, it's not only just stress that was the defining factor, is the fact that they also had internal things that they didn't deal with as well.
Right.
And so when you kind of fuse the pot together of what they're dealing with, because when you look at most of these high rates, right, it's connected to as well trauma of who they're dealing with as well, right? So for example, a doctor or a surgeon is operating on someone, and one mistake leads them down to a dark place.
Yeah.
Now imagine 365 days of having hypervigilance of not making that mistake. Now times that by 10 or 15 or 20 years.
Yeah.
Right? Every day has to be a perfect day because no one wants you to not be perfect on their day.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Because not being perfect on their day
Can cause someone's life.
Yes.
Right? And so then you have one of the most interesting ones, two of the most interesting ones I discovered in my research, in the writing of the book, and just my research overall, is, for example, farmers. Farmers have some of the highest unaliving rates in the world.
Really?
Yeah, really, really bad. Especially in India, 24 to 48 farmers a day unalive themselves, right? Every single day.
And what is the correlation?
It's a number of different things. So their world is very seasonal.
Right.
Right? So they have to get their season correct. Then you have to think about injuries. If someone gets injured, like back pain or back problems, there's no days off. You have to get it right.
Yeah.
Then they've got machinery problems. Then they've got to deal with pesticide. Then they've got to pesticide problems. Then they've got to do with climate change and all of that. Then they've got to deal with the fact that they're being undercut by corporate companies.
Yeah.
Then they've got to deal with loan sharks who's put liens on their land and all the rest of it. Then they've got generational expectations because a lot of the farmers has had expectations handed down to them from previous generations, fathers and fathers' fathers, and so on and so forth. So that was one of the most interesting ones. And then also as well, isolation. Isolation, this is why when someone's in prison, they put them into solitary confinement for punishment, extra punishment. And that is because they want to punish them. Now, what about a farmer who's doing it by themselves? Late nights, early mornings, and it's just isolation, isolation, isolation. So that was one interesting one for me, where farmers were really struggling and suffering. The next one is actually dentists. And when you look at the average dental practice room, the average dental clinical room, it's the size of a prison cell,
yeah.
right? It's got the same mundane environment.
Yeah.
Sometimes some of them's got no windows. And then think about the chair as being an electric chair, right? Because when someone sits in the chair, they consciously know they're getting their teeth worked on, but the body doesn't know it. As I said, the trauma stores in the body.
Right.
So what happens? The body, every time the your gums or your teeth gets, the drill goes on it,
Yeah.
the body starts to store the trauma.
Yeah.
Right? And then what happens is the body radiates the trauma, what they call secondary trauma, onto the dentist.
Yeah.
The dentists also tend to get what they call compassion fatigue.
Yeah.
So long hours, compassion fatigue, secondary trauma,
Yeah.
learning new equipment, mundane rooms, being put in a solitary confinement type of environment with maybe just themselves or one other person.
Yeah.
And now expand that for 10 to 15 years.
Yeah. Every day.
Every
9
single
to 5.
day, 9 to 5. So what happens, what I've learned as well, we tend to celebrate the title of people. You're a doctor, you're a this, you're a that. But that doctor or that dentist or that surgeon or that anaesthetist are not celebrating their titles because they're dealing with their traumas.
And so this is what inspired you to
Yes.
to write the book.
So the book comes from 4 different perspectives.
Yeah.
One of them is talking to the government about their bureaucracy.
Right.
Now, the reason why I want to talk to the government about their bureaucracy, for example, is, well, a number of things. One of them is, in America and other parts of the world, if a surgeon or a doctor makes a mistake, right, they would lose their license. But even deeper than that, if a doctor or a surgeon goes through trauma and the board finds out, they can also lose their license. So they have to suffer in silence. Hence the term, who helps the helpline when the helpline needs help.
Yeah.
The same with social workers. Social workers are gagged and hushed. They can't express what they're going through because government bureaucracy, right? So the book talks to the government about their bureaucracies, that they need to be better at helping our helplines.
Creating a safe network for these people
to allow them.
be
It's
able
getting
to...
better in some countries, in the UK, some other places, but still a lot more work needs to be done. The second angle this book comes from is talking directly to the person themselves. So it's got worksheets within the book.
Yes.
It's got worksheets in the book. And the worksheets in the book, it helps that person go through what they're going through.
Yeah.
It talks to them about certain things, get them to put down what they're going through, and just helps them
analyze currently. So I've looked through the book.
Yeah.
And I've read it, but I didn't take any action. So now I'm in the phase of looking at the actions that I need to do.
Yes.
Part of me doesn't want to write on the book, so I'm thinking I need to photocopy the pages because I don't want to mess the
No, writing it, because trust me, you'll refer back to it another time. So it's designed for you to write in it. It's all good.
It's my OCD.
Yeah.
So you've got quite a few templates in the book.
Yes.
What made you think?
Sorry, let me finish the other two
ahead,
very quickly. So the final two is, it talks to family members about what signs to look out for when their family members are going through trials and tribulations.
Yeah.
Right.
And what sort of signs, Kevin, do you teach people to look out for?
Good question. Brilliant question. So one of the main signs, for example, if someone is preparing strategically to unalive themselves, they'll start to do things that seems very subtle, but people can easily just look over it. For example, they become very matter of fact. So they may say, I just want you to know, if I'm not around in the future, I love you. Ooh. So they almost start to put you in a position where they're saying, if I'm not around, I just want you to know how I feel about you. They'll start giving away possessions as well. They may say, I want you to have this. So in your mind, you're just like, stop being silly. What do you mean? You love that. whatever it may be. But what they're starting to do, they're starting to prepare the world around them.
And they're disconnecting
They're starting
themselves.
to disconnect themselves. So, you know, and as you said, another thing is the disconnection, is the loss of interest in things they was once interested in. Is the fact that they're not talking about their future anymore in a sense of being a part of their future. So they're very subtle things, and they're the signs that we've got to look out for.
And when we notice these signs, what sort of things can we do to support them to navigate out of this hopelessness?
Well, the opposite of hopelessness is hope.
Hope.
So it's giving them hope, it's giving them enthusiasm, make them feel enthusiastic, but also very importantly, make them feel loved, make
Right.
them know that they're wanted, give them tasks to do that makes them feel responsible.
Right.
You know, put children in front of them. Children makes people feel young and pure and fun, and children will just really move you out of your zone. Change their environment. Look at the things that might be making them feel down. Like I was working with a client once, and when I went into their home, right, they had pictures of people that's passed away before them and pictures of ex-partners and all these kind of things that will, from a vibrational frequency perspective, bring them in a dark place. So remove all those low vibrational things out of their life and start introducing new things.
So it's interesting, and not to get too personal, but I've got someone quite close to me that their home almost feels like a shrine.
Yes.
And I can't go there because the frequency is so low.
Yes.
So your recommendation is to try and get them to change that.
Change that.
How do you get someone to change that when that's all they've got, it's the only thing that they're holding on to because they've had so much loss?
Change the narrative.
Right.
Change the narrative. Change the narrative, you know, for example, get them to think about what would that person want for them.
Yes.
Yeah, that person want you to be successful, and that person want you to be happy.
Yes.
That person would like you to be in a new relationship.
Yes.
That person would love you to be, you know, this amazing person you was always destined to be. So change the narrative. You can't dismiss something that's in front of you, but what you can do is alter the shape of it.
And how you view it.
And how you view it.
Yeah.
Right? So the goal is to always change the narrative. It's like what some people try to do. They try to say to you, stop thinking about thinking. It's impossible. You can't stop thinking about thinking, right? So what can we do is change what we're thinking about from one perspective to another perspective. And that's what should be done, is change the narrative, change the belief system. And as you change the narrative and change the belief system, that muscle gets stronger until that narrative and belief system becomes a new reality.
Right. You covered the first three. I interjected. There was one last one that you wanted to cover. You said there was four perspectives.
And the final one is talking to the general public about being more understanding, more pensive, and more compassionate when it comes to our helplines. For example, in the pandemic, I talk about in the pandemic, when nurses were going through what they're going through, we've got to cast our mind back. We was told, you know, around the starting of the pandemic, for example, if you even managed to get this COVID, right? You're more than likely gonna be unalived. Yeah. So that's what we were told in the early days. So let's cast our mind back. Now picture a nurse thinking, I may not come home tonight. And so now picture how the general public normally treats nurses. Almost every single nurse has been attacked or abused at some point, right? Almost every social worker has been attacked or abused at some point.
Yeah.
And, you know, most of our ambulance workers attacked and abused at some point. Firefighters attacked and abused at some point. So most of our helplines are attacked by the same people that they're helping. So it's about also teaching the general public. The book is about teaching the general public to look at things from a different perspective, and also being more pensive and understanding to the people that are serving us.
That is good. That is really good. And it's factual, you know, you witness it all the time, and hence you see all these notices about please respect our staff and our nurses and so forth.
Yeah, but they take that trauma home.
Yeah.
And some of them do not leave their confines of their depression once they get into that place. A lot of people, you think about this, right? Just imagine this, you're an ambulance driver or an ambulance worker. You go to an horrific scene, car accident or so, right? And we're not talking Disney World here. Think about how horrific a car accident can be, right? Think about what you see. Think about what you take home with you.
The
Think
trauma,
about what you go to bed with.
what
Think
you
about
visualize. Yeah,
exactly. Every time you close your eyes,
you see.
you see the parts of maybe someone. I want to be, for example, right now, graphic, just so people can say, wow,
Yeah.
right? Think about the body parts that may be scattered in 9 different places. Think about a murder scene. Think about what they go through. Now think about them going to work the next day and someone just hits them because that person's angry. Now couple those two together.
Yeah.
Now think about the anxiety they get when they're driving to another scene. Think about that. Think about a firefighter. I was at the Granfield fire, right? I was one of the ones who went
As a response.
as a response to help out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I helped out and all the rest of it. And I saw firefighters lying on the floor, just burnt out, stressed, depressed. And they saw things that our brains can't compute. Think about when they went into a building that was still, smoldering with fire and smoke and heat and flames. And think about the bodies they found. Think about them seeing that. Think about them.
Smell,
the smell. Because I smelt the smell. I saw flesh, right, on cars down below because I was there the next day, the next morning, right? So think about once again what they go through, what they have to take home with them. So that's what it's about. It's about opening our peripheral to be more pensive, more understanding, and being more respectful to the people that are serving us. No money on this planet can really compensate what they're going through, because you can have 1 million, 2 million, 10 million, but if you are shrouded and clouded with trauma, that money means nothing at all.
Absolutely. Are you able to share one of your strategies from the book with us today?
Sure.
That can help with resilience.
That can help with resilience.
Yeah.
Ooh, when we say resilience, what resilience are we talking about overall?
Probably emotional resilience, or maybe the mental health resilience from dealing with such traumas. What did you do actually after you witnessed the aftermath at Grenfell? What sort of things did you do for yourself?
Brilliant question. I filtered it out, because here's the thing, right? You remember I said to you how our brain systems work? You have the seeking system,
Yeah.
you have the care system, then you have all the other grieving systems. What happens is when one system is inflated, it actually compresses the other systems. So for example, as I said before, if you are going through anger,
Yeah.
you're not thinking about caring. You're not thinking about exploring greatness and fun. You're angry, you're depressed, you're grieving. So one system, when that inflates, it compresses the other systems. So that means we must do the reverse. We have to be very conscious about exercising the other systems to compress the other systems.
And what does that look like for a layman, like a lay person?
Sure.
What does that look like?
So first and foremost, we should have therapy, because we need to filter out what's going on.
Right.
The second part of it is we need to have accountability partners, because when we're feeling down, we need someone that says, not today, you're not feeling down, we're going out to do something. So there's 4 stages of learning. Stage number 1 is what they call unconscious incompetence. This is when you don't know what you don't know. You're unconsciously incompetent. So layman terms, you're a baby that is 2 months old and you don't know about shoelaces, right? So you're unconsciously incompetent.
Yeah.
Shoelaces exist, but the baby doesn't know about shoelaces.
Yeah, and it's fine.
Right.
That's okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Stage 2 is what they called conscious incompetence. Now the baby's 5 years old and knows that there's shoelaces, but the baby knows, I can't tie my shoelaces. So they may say, Mummy, Daddy, help me tie my shoelaces. The third stage is what they called conscious competence. This is when you're tying your shoelaces, but you need everyone to be quiet because you need to focus, right? You're learning. Then the final stage is what they called unconscious competence. This is when you're tying your shoelaces without even thinking. Same thing with driving. You didn't know about a car. even though car exists, then you knew about a car and you knew you couldn't drive it. Then you're learning how to drive. You don't need the radio on, you don't need people talking because you need to focus on your driving.
Yeah.
Then the final stage is you're driving, you're on your phone, you're having a full
doing
course
too
meal,
much. One
you're
hand.
doing a lot,
Yeah.
one hand, all the rest of it, right? So there's 4
Driving with
stages
your
of learning.
palms.
Same thing with education, learning a word.
Yeah.
Right? Same process. No matter what we say, we're going to get there. That's the same thing we need to do when it comes to our happiness. That's the same thing we need to do when it comes to us putting ourselves into a positive place. Positivity exists, happiness exists. I don't know what happiness is. So I need to consciously learn about it. Now I know what happiness is because you're happy and I'm not.
Yeah.
So now I know it exists, but now I have to exercise happiness. I have to do things. I have to smile even when I don't want to. I have to behave happy. I have to do things what happy people do. Go for a walk in the park, go for a jog, go for this. And then all of a sudden I become happy without even realizing it. So it's the same process. It's a human being educational process when it comes to our behaviors. So we have to, put ourselves in environments that may feel uncomfortable to us, but they are a proton happy environment. B, we need to act as if we want to be. Yeah. C, we need to not entertain anything that brings us to a low vibrational frequency. D, we need to make sure that whatever we do, we are consistent with it. Consistency is the key to progression, right? And the final one, I would say, is we have to write down and change our narratives and our belief system. We have to be so conscious about who we believe we are, what we believe we are, and who we are going to become. We have to be conscious about it. And I say, if you put those 5 areas in place, the process will start. But in that process, what's going to happen is this, right? Okay. The process is going to become very interesting. And this one becomes extremely, extremely hard. What's going to happen is this. Because you're now vibrating in what you call a proton frequency, electron frequencies are going to cause havoc against you. So think about you being a light, right? You're a light. And outside of that light, you have moths in the dark trying to get in to get through the window and knock against the light.
Yes.
And those moths are going to do everything to out your light.
Yes.
Hearsay, mix up. They're gonna throw things at you to bring you back into a low vibrational frequency.
Yes, I use this analogy myself.
Yes, exactly. Right? Yes. So the moth's goal is to dim the light.
Yes.
The light's goal is to remain bright.
Yes.
Now, if the light entertains the darkness, then the light loses the light and it becomes a part of the dark.
Yes.
So the devil cannot change who you are. The devil can convince you to become dark.
Yes.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you are going to get family members that's going to declare war on you when you change your frequency. You are going to get friends that's going to declare war on you. You are going to get social media. You are going to get all of these different entities. Remember I spoke about entities?
Yes.
These entities will declare war on you. Your number one focus and goal is to stay in the light. I don't know if you remember that old film called Poltergeist or something like that, right? And it says, Marianne, stay in the light. Exactly. It's the same science. Stay in the light. Do not entertain the darkness, because once you go into the darkness, it's going to be very hard for you to find the light.
Yeah. We've covered so much. I had like a chain of things I want to say.
Sorry,
and we've kind of,
I go off.
It's good. We've covered so many positive things. So this book is out now. There's multiple strategies in there.
Multiple.
Do you have...
It's like nearly 500 pages.
It's a good book. Get the hardback version. We've got some softback versions as well. And you can get it on Amazon?
Yes, Amazon.
Good.
If you want it signed, you can go to my website, whohelpsthehelpline.com.
Good.
And then I can sign the book personally, but on Amazon, it's just easy for a lot of people. So either way, it's fine.
Do you have any upcoming talks or workshops that people can access?
That people can access. I mean, my talks come so fast and they go so quickly as well. So I tell you what I have got that I think might be more interesting. I've got an app that's almost, it's almost going to be released in about 3 months or so, God willing. This app is designed to help people who needs all what we've been talking about, plus a lot more. And I'll explain what I mean by that. When I was traveling to different countries, my other part of my research was not just the downside of this, but what makes you successful? What makes you a billionaire? What makes you a millionaire? What makes you extremely successful? And I realized the most successful people on the planet had a minimum of 18 parts of their life in place at any one time.
Right.
Right? The average person has about 7 to 8 parts of their life in place.
And when
at
you
any
say
one
that,
time.
what does that mean? What does that look like?
Okay, so I'll just go through some of the 18 parts, right? So the first 5 we spoke about: your belief system, your meaning, your action, results, whatever, right?
Yeah, like
Then,
the Maslow hierarchy of needs. Yeah.
right. So there's certain fundamentals that needs to be in place. Yeah.
Right.
Then you've got your feelings and emotions, as we spoke about. They need to be in tune and intact.
Right.
Okay. Then you've got your spirituality. That needs to be in tune and in place. Then you've got your self-development, family and relationships, career and vocation,
Right.
finances and wealth,
Right.
lifestyle,
Right.
mentors,
Yes.
mastermind groups, networks and associations,
Right.
your legacy. So I always say to people, for example, especially when I'm talking to a lot of people extremely successful, they say your behavior today becomes your legacy tomorrow.
Yes.
Right? So what do you want your legacy to be? You know, so the app looks at all 18 parts. The book touches on it, but the app is an updated version of the book, because always forever evolving for obvious reasons. So what the app does, it wakes you up in the morning, it actually tells you what to do in all different parts of your life. It helps you get to that place. It holds you to account. It asks you throughout the day how you're feeling. If you're feeling depressed or frustrated, something will pop up and it'll talk to you and say, don't worry. So the app actually talks to you to help you as well. It holds you to account. It has accountability partners within the app. It's got everything in the app, and the app is a free app as well. So it's my contribution back to society.
So it's almost like a AI life coach almost.
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 Oh, yeah.
And when you say accountability partners, are these AI or are they like
No,
real
so what
people?
you can do, you can go into it and you can assign actual people to be your accountability partners. So it could be friends and family and loved ones. So so you would set your goals. So it's inside the app, you've got all set your goals and all the process for it. And then it would then start the process of putting your life together for you. Now, we live in London, or we live in and around London, or you know, or for people that may live in New York or built up areas or cosmopolitan areas, the app is amazing for them. But more importantly, what about those people that live in rural parts of the world who are not as spoilt as we are, that has access to go into a location round the corner where we can access friends and networks and people. So the app is also focused on helping maybe that farmer who's isolated, maybe those people that's in Kenya, maybe that people that's in Ghana, maybe it's the people that's in Afghanistan who may not have a network of people to help them get to a place of excellence. So the app is very mindful about the region of the world you're in, and also about how to help you navigate in whatever region of the world you're in.
Well, when you're doing user testing, if you
Yes.
haven't already, I'd like to be part of your user testing.
Yes, you will be. In the next 2 months, you will be. And we're it's been so powerful that UCL, as we're going to be doing our main launch at UCL as well. So it's going to be a really big thing in the name of helping people, serving people, and building people up overall.
Wonderful. Lastly, what are some of your hopes to achieve over the next few years other than the app?
Brilliant question. So my world is about servitude, and my world is about creating awareness. If I can use my platforms, if I can use my app, if I can use the book to create awareness for people to be more understanding, people to be more pensive, and people to have awareness of themselves as well. No matter what happens in my life after that, I feel like I've done my thing on this earth, you know, and that's what it's about for me, is just to introduce people to a mindset of hope. That's my number one mission and goal, is to change hopelessness to hope.
And I think you're actually doing that.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Kevin. On a separate note,
Yeah.
I know some of you watch watch other shows, you watch RTM and such, and you know, I've been called a bit of a book nerd. But if I'm a nerd, it's because of this man. If I'm a book nerd, it's because of Kevin. So Kevin was the first person to take me to a bookstore. It was actually Waterstones in Tottenham Court Road.
Yes, yes.
And I think it was the 48
Laws of Power.
Yeah, I think that was the first book.
Yeah.
And you kind of opened me up to wanting to read more. I mean, admittedly, I don't read as much books, physical books, but I do a lot of audio books now.
Readers are leaders.
Yeah. And I find that, you know, because I don't have the time to always open up books, audio really has helped me to get through much more books. And I saw that off your live as well. You did that one time. You was at a car wash and you was like, yeah, I just listened to X amount of books. And I was like, how you listening to so much books? And I'm like, yeah, this is the way forward. So I just wanted to take the time to thank you for opening me up to reading much more than I was before. Is there anything you'd like to let the viewers know?
Do you know what it is, right? We're in a day and time where I'm aware that things are hard. I'm aware of it. I experience hardship as well. Create a community around you. Your success, your growth, and your happiness will be decided by your community. You know, choose your community wisely. Choose your cabinet wisely. Choose your council wisely. And your community, your council, your cabinet will dictate and determine your happiness, your success, and your progression. It's extremely, extremely important. And that's what I would advise people. Stay away from gossip, stay away from mix-up, stay away from negative energy and frequencies, and purposely align yourself around people who will speak life into you. Create a circle of confidence. And I have a circle of confidence. And there's 3 circles that I have. My first circle is between me and God. My secrets is shared with me and God. My
Safest place.
Safest place to be, right? My second circle is that loved one, that 1 or 2 people that I can truly trust.
Trusted circle, I have that.
Right?
Yeah.
And the third one, that's when you can start sharing with the public. And so 3 areas: secrets, public, private.
Yeah.
Don't share your secrets with your private. Don't share your private with the public. And definitely don't share the public with the secrets.
Yes,
Yeah?
100%.
And so many people share their secrets with the public and it ends in tears.
100%.
Yeah? So you and God, secrets.
Yeah.
You and 1 or 2 people, private. And your public is what you don't mind sharing, no matter what happens down the line. And you'll be fine.
Yeah. It's weird, when you started saying that, my nanny came to mind actually. And she said, show me your company and I tell you who you be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Show me your frequency and I'm going to tell you your outcome.
Yeah.
Same thing. You know, your frequency determines your outcome.
Yeah.
You know, if your friends are negative, if your partner's negative, if your relationships are negative, well, regardless of the relationship, you're going to vibrate in a negative frequency. Protons and electrons do not live together, no matter how you measure it.
Thank you. I think we'll end it there.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Thank
Thanks
you
for
so
having me.
much, Kevin. Thank you all for joining me today and my amazing guest, Kevin Bennett. Please go and get his book. It's an amazing read. And also it gives you the skills that you need to overcome any mental health challenges that you are facing. The book again is Who Helps the Helpline When the Helpline Needs Help. You might actually be the helpline that needs help. So get the book. And that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate you.
Thank you.
I
Thank
got
you.
to sign your copy as
Yeah,
well.
you better sign my copy. Thank you. Tune in next week for the next episode. You can find Kevin on what platforms?
So if you search Kevin Bennett, NNT, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, just
LinkedIn.
Kevin Bennett, NNT. I'm terrible on LinkedIn. My whole team is cursing me out. They're like, you are not doing well on LinkedIn. You need to update it.
You gotta do better.
I know, I gotta do better. So I'm working on it. So yeah, please check me out. And as I learn new things, I'm happy to share.
Wonderful. Check me out on all platforms, Twitter, Instagram, well, it's X, isn't it? TikTok, and obviously here on YouTube, Honestly Trina, and this has been Honestly Speaking. Thank you.